Hey everyone, it's a Friday night here. It's past 1 a.m. I'm by far the only one left at the office, but it's often this time of day of night that I find time to make these videos, but it doesn't matter because we're here for another episode of Crypto Capsule Commentary, where I answer some of the questions that I get from all of you around the world every week. Hope you're ready, because here we go. So first question I got is, Henri, I work at a financial institution and I'm really into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but the bank I work for is not into cryptocurrencies. Should I stay or should I leave? This is a question that I get from a lot of you young listeners who listen to my show. The one piece of advice I give to everyone is that you may not be aware of it, but it's very likely your financial institution is looking at cryptocurrencies. Often these conversations happen at a very senior level, and often they happen at headquarters. Depending of where you are in the organization, depending where you're based, which is not easy in a COVID environment, you may not be aware of these conversations. The first piece of advice is try to find out, if you can, either from your line managers, your MD, if they know who is looking at this within the organization. But second is you need to let people know that you're into Bitcoin. A piece of advice I give to a lot of people, it's difficult with COVID, but it's, for example, put a book about Bitcoin on your desk. So people will pass, when they see that, they will start asking you questions, engage you about it. Second is actually something that will be very well received, is why don't you offer to your team, or at least your immediate or broader team, educational session about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. You'll see people are actually quite receptive if you offer them to teach and maybe do a lunch and learn or a session like that. It'll be very interesting, and I'm sure people will be well received, because your goal is to be known as within the organization as a person who knows this area. And I guarantee you, when they will come and when they will announce that they will get into this space, they will need to find out who's into it. And actually your goal is to be actually the first call that you get. And this is very relevant for a lot of junior people, because the crypto assets I find in financial institutions may kind of be your escalator, and actually may be a good way for you to go up in your career way faster than if you would go and you were just doing equity sales or research and other elements. So that's often the advice. So give a chance to your financial institution. You may be pleasantly surprised. Thank you for your question. Second question is, what does the potential Coinbase IPO or a listing have an impact on the crypto market? So what can be the impact of a potential Coinbase listing? I think first of all, it's very interesting because Coinbase is not the first public listed crypto company, but it's probably the one that is the most known, especially when it comes in the US. I think there's a couple of good positive things about it. First of all, it's a good success story of a company that went literally where they had seed investors and they may go public. But I think what's going to be very interesting is actually it's going to draw a lot of attention from the traditional financial institutions, especially those on the sell side and the research side. Obviously, many of them will need to cover this talk now. Many now will need to publish research on the topic. So I think it may have a lot of actually indirect effects on the broader crypto industry, especially with financial institutions. So I think it's generally very, very positive development from that perspective. Third question, will the recent rally in crypto markets change institutional investors' approach to decentralized finance, DeFi? The short answer is no. I think it's been very remarkable what we've been seeing in DeFi. As you guys know, at the beginning of the year, there was less than $1 billion in total value locked. And now at the end of the year, we're over 15 billion. The total value lock is kind of the amount of assets that are kind of within that DeFi ecosystem. I think it's been very interesting. I don't think we'll see institutional investors. It's way, way too early to see institutional investors enter the DeFi space. However, I think I'm very excited about DeFi, really it gives us really the chance to really rethink about what are financial services on a first principles perspective. And we're having great use cases right now that we've seen over the last couple of months that DeFi actually works. Obviously, still very early days. Even within the crypto ecosystem, it's still really at the fringes, but very interesting what's happening on that perspective. The one development that I'm watching on DeFi is obviously there's a lot of rules are coming in with the FATF, what we call the travel rules. And it's going to be very interesting to see if some of the increased regulations in the, let's say, centralized crypto space will push some activity on the DeFi side. So that's one area I'm watching very closely. So again, no impact I don't think they'll have an impact on institutional investors, but definitely an area to watch. Thank you for your question. Last question is, Henri, you often mention how important is tax clarity. Do you expect many changes or developments in tax crypto tax in 2021. I think I covered this in my predictions as well. I think 2020 was a really very important year when it comes to crypto tax. I mean, not only did it make it on the IRS's questionnaire that every American gets asking whether they've been involved in cryptocurrencies, but we've had a really groundbreaking policy developments. I think the OECD, for example, the work they've done on the crypto tax space is really excellent. The one thing I'm watching right now at PwC, actually, we published a global crypto tax report. We even have a crypto tax index. We actually rank countries on how advanced they are on the crypto tax elements. For example, in the first year, countries like Liechtenstein, Malta, and Australia were in the top 3. The big development to watch here is that while today a lot of countries have guidance on, the capital gains on crypto mining, pretty much nobody has any guidance on elements like crypto lending, borrowing, or even staking, which have become pretty important revenue drivers for not only retail, but for a lot of institutional players as well. So I'm expecting to see more developments in this space in 2021. And this is particularly important for institutional investors. As important, I discussed this many times in previous videos, regulatory clarity is very important, but tax clarity is equally important as well, because you need to give that comfort for institutional investors to get into the space. Guys, hope this was useful. Again, if you have any questions you want me to answer, feel free to ask them in the comments below. I know I'm getting a lot of questions. I promise you I will get to your questions at one point. But guys, hope this was useful, and see you soon all again for another episode of Crypto Capsule Commentary. See you guys.